Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Mail. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is a guy, he is 31 years old, and he shares his story about events that happened about 4 years ago when he rushed to get engaged. You're going to see that he met this gal in a very unlikely situation. They hit it off, and he all fell in love with her in no time, which was crazy, but guys do this. The next thing you know, he proposed to her ridiculously early, and he thought he was on easy street until, guess what, one day, she broke off the engagement. And this guy was completely brokenhearted and went down a downward spiral, depression, and did a lot of things that you just want to smack the hell out of him. But ultimately, he goes through a lot of hard times, a lot of self-inflicted problems, even thought about offing himself at one point. But finally, he gets help, turns things around, he's doing really well. He's in a great place in his life right now and learned a lot. And that'll be a good one here as a refresher of the fundamentals of what not to do. And also how you can turn things around, and he at the end shares a lot of things he's learned along the way to pass on his wisdom of what not to do as well as what to do for all the relationship guys out there. And that'll be a really good one to go over here because at the end of the day, we all make mistakes, right? Believe me, I made mine. But if you learn from them and grow and pass on your wisdom, it's not a total loss. And there is one guy watching this that hasn't screwed up at least once, so I thought it'd be a good one here to cover. He says, "Hi SSM. I follow your channel and thought it'd be good to share my story to you and your followers, as I know that many men may go through similar experiences to my own. I understand you get emails all the time, and if you choose to share, I hope that it will help anyone who wants to listen. Here is some brief information about me. I'm 31 years old, who is a musician, educator, and fitness enthusiast. I consider myself attractive as well, with great physique. This isn't to brag, but it's for context for some parts later. Dude, you work hard to take care of yourself, you're allowed to mention. That's fine with me, you know? It takes a lot of dedication and effort to be healthy, eat healthy, disciplined, work out, all that, so good for you. To get things going, as a preface to the story, I was engaged back in 2019. And my ex-fiance left me just months before we were supposed to get married. Now, that sucks, man. Through this experience, I had to learn some important lessons regarding life, relationships, and what it means to be a man. For the audience's sake, I'm including some of my mistakes that could certainly have contributed to the relationship failing. I fully understand how smackable these moments are, as I'm ashamed of myself for making them, but men need to know what not to do and what to avoid. Yeah, we all make mistakes, and like I said, believe me, gentlemen, I have made mine, and I learned the hard way. That's why I do what I do. This story has a good ending, though, and I've certainly learned my lessons, which I will share at the end. It says, back in 2019, I met a girl at a pharmacy to get a quick test for the flu in the clinic. Let's call her Callie for the story. I had a headache, my nose was stuffed, and I just felt drained at work. They made me wear a mask while waiting, and she comes and waits next to me. I was sniffing, and I decided to use my goofy charm to strike up a conversation with her, even while looking and sounding sickly. Like me right now? Allergies are killing me today. I'm fucking dying, but show must go on. I gotta get these videos done. Bear with me, gentlemen. It worked, as she contacted me on social media first, and the rest is history. Dude, you picked up a chick at fucking CVS when you're sick? That's very impressive. Good for you. It felt like a rom-com love story how two people met. Here you go. Here we go. This leads to where we're going here. However, get ready for the mistakes, as there are quite a few that I've made during the relationship and after the breakup. They would be the stereotypical characteristics of what many of us would call beta blue-pilled simp. I don't particularly care for labels like blue pill, red pill, beta, alpha, or name a few, as I think it all boils down to learning truth and just being the best you are what you be. But I'll use the labels for this story as a placeholder. Well, you may not like the labels, but they are warranted and needed at times, let me tell you. Nearing a month in the relationship, I told Kelly that I loved her. Smack! 1 month, dude? That's ridiculous. You don't even know her. And all it does is give her absolute certainty that she's got you, you're not going anywhere, and no guy benefits when a woman has certainty that he's not going anywhere. Gives her the power in the relationship. It's unfortunate, but it's the fucking truth. She knew how much I cared for her, you think? And as I was head over heels for her, I had a huge golden retriever energy about me. We spent a lot of time together, had a lot of deep conversations, met each other's families, and had conversations about our future. About 5 months in, I proposed to her. Smack, 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 smack. I'd smack you more, but enough's enough. 5 months? What the fuck? You don't know her enough 5 months. And again, that tells her, I'm really into this chick. In fact, that could actually scare a girl. But probably she's thinking, yay, I'm going to be married, or some bullshit like that, and went along with it. 5 months? No, gentlemen, you never do that. It should be 5 years, minimum. You watch too many goddamn romantic comedies. She said yes, and I was on cloud 9. I was envisioning my future with her, making plans for buying a house, and imagining starting a family with her. Everything seemed perfect. However, in the latter half of 2019, she went on a 40-day fast from alcohol, which I fully supported, but considering what was to come, I should have seen it as a sign that she may have been considering breaking up with me. In December 2019, she officially gave me the ring back in the Dollar General parking lot. Well, at least it wasn't Walmart. I was mostly numb as I was trying to be gracious and understanding. But the tears started welling up, and she sat there crying with me. Don't cry in front of your girl, guys. I know it's tough, but don't do it. After that was the denial stage of grief, as I was numb for a month because the situation did not even feel real. However, I started missing her, so I reached out to her near the beginning of 2020. Smack! You don't chase after being dumped, guys. That just makes you look even worse. I get your heart was ripped out and you're hurting, but seriously. Now, I gotta say this. Given this is one of the few stories I don't entirely make out the girl to be the villain here. And here's why. I'm not hearing anything about her cheating on him or anything other bullshit like that. I think what happened is that it just went too fast for her. Probably scared the crap out of her, and that's why she gave the ring back. And in that sense, I can't blame her. I don't know all the information here. If I find out that she was cheating behind the scenes and that, and then she's the villain, fair enough. But she may have come to her senses. I rushed things too far ahead. I don't know, you know? Says here, she said she missed me too, and we tried seeing each other again, but it didn't last very long at all. There you go. She said that she did not feel at peace about it, and she felt like we were not as compatible as she thought. Okay, again, if that was the case, you know, it's possible she just got really excited in the moment, the whole rom-com crap that you were thinking about. Excited because somebody proposed to her, the idea about being a miss of somebody or a wedding, more importantly. And then came to reality. It's a very important thing to think about. She officially broke up with me, and that was that. It goes down fast from here, so get ready for some more smacks. What, I haven't smacked you enough, brother? To sum it up, I spiraled into a deep depression. Countless sleepless nights, constant crying, and screaming into my pillow. I couldn't take it anymore, so I decided to show up at her house unannounced. Smack! What, so she can call the police? Restraining order? That bullshit is something you see in the movies, and the girls melt and fall for the guy and live happily ever after. But in reality, not La La Land, reality, that's when they call the cops, and you scare the shit out of them. Come on, dude. But I get that you're hurting, and I'm sorry I went through that, but you can't pull that shit. He knows this now. But for all you young guys out there that may be in a situation like his one day, don't fucking show up unannounced. Tell me you didn't hold a fucking iPad or an iPod over your head playing music like John Cusack and say anything. What else dumbass shit did you do? Let's see here. I was crying and practically begged for us to stay together. Smack. He never begged. Ever. Looking back, I know exactly how weak that was. Good you can admit it. But I was suffering from severe heartache, and I believe that love was something worth fighting for. However, I know how both people must fight for each other. Yes, she wasn't fighting for you, dude. You were doing all the fighting. You have to, you can look back and see things clearly, but I get that, and you were on emotional overdrive. I didn't know what else to do. She told me that we need to keep distance between us, and she then blocked me on social media. Could have saw that coming a mile away. You're lucky she didn't get a restraining order. To add fuel to the fire, COVID also came in about 2020, which further exacerbated my feelings of desperation and loneliness. I reached out to her mom, Smack. Dude, you're making it worse. That conversation didn't go well as I had an emotional reaction around her, which made her think I was crazy, but I was just hurting so much. You are lucky they didn't freaking file a restraining order, man. She told Kelly about it, which convinced Kelly that she made the right decision, which is understandable. A friend told me that she just months ago, after she cut me out of her life, she got engaged to another man. Now here's the part that one could say, okay, now clearly Callie, your ex, has a habit of jumping into engagements. And one could say, maybe she was cheating behind the scenes, maybe she liked somebody else, I don't know. But he didn't mention anything about cheating or any revelations, so, but still. As you can imagine, I had my suspicions about whether there was something going on during a relationship, but I had no proof, and you know what they say about assuming. Yes, when you assume, you make an ass out of Uma Thurman. No, when you assume means you make an ass out of you and me. Regardless, dude, we're in present day, you've moved on, you're doing well, so whatever. Still, the news hit me hard. I started having dangerous thoughts about self-deletion, and even came close to doing so a couple of times. Ending yourself, guys, is never the answer. I get you have pain. I have major depression that runs in my family. And I had a family member very close to me that tried offing that person's self multiple times. And it's never the answer. Didn't happen, thank the Lord. But you have to seek out help. And no girl, no piece of ass is worth it. Nobody's worth it. Life is a gift. You just got to make it a gift. Depression was wreaking havoc on me. I started to seek relief in all the wrong places. I started drinking more. I tried to date other women to fill the void. This led to bad decisions that only added to my depression. I was at rock bottom. To keep myself busy, I devoted myself to writing and playing music. I took up different hobbies, and I worked out constantly in the gym. I've always been in great shape, but I dedicate myself even more in this time. Good. I'm glad you were at least exercising. That's key. If you didn't exercise, I can't imagine what kind of condition you would have gotten into. Unfortunately, as great as those things are, they weren't the things I need to prioritize the most in my healing process, as they become distractions. The real problem was I had the body of an alpha, but the mind of a beta. Pretty much. I've known big, strong, tough dudes that were, jelly inside. And I know skinny little dudes that were iron inside. That's what you choose to be. I had my own house, but I stayed with my parents for a while, as they believed it was not a good idea for me to be left alone, and rightfully so. That's good that you stay with your parents, man. They saw me at my absolute worst, and let me say that they are the best parents anybody could ask for. They were supportive of me and listened to me. If it wasn't for them, I may not still be here today. Well, awesome that you got great parents. When I was in a more stable state, they tried talking to me about getting help. I did so and saw a genuinely good church therapist for a little while. Using the advice from my therapist and my parents, I decided to allow myself to feel the pain of the breakup. But it wasn't to just feel the pain, it was to address my flaws and problems in my life. Instead of asking questions like, why did she leave me? And why did it happen to me? I started to ask questions like, why am I feeling this way? Why can't I learn from this pain? Then the healing slowly but surely started to take place. There you go, man. You asked the right questions. I'm so glad you got help in the therapy, and it really does help some people. That's wonderful. You're on the process. A lot of people, before they make changes in their lives, guys, and maybe some of you are aware of this, a lot of people have to really hit rock bottom or hit the wall. And that's what it takes. They've been overweight their whole lives. Say, that's it. They had a big health scare. Doctor says you're going to die in 5 years unless you lose 150 pounds. They do that. And amongst many other things. I eventually started to enjoy a lot of activities on my own. I started to go out and enjoy activities by myself, such as eating out at restaurants by myself, doing other activities like hiking and kayaking, as they were great escapes into nature. And I was able to enjoy myself while taking time to walk with God. These experiences were incredibly surreal. Reading and meditating became staples in my morning routine. I began to have a healthy view of devoting myself to activities such as owning up my craft and music and becoming even more in shape, as I now do it solely for myself and not solely to distract myself or prove myself to others. Good for you, man. A guy needs to be okay being on his own before he can be in a relationship. The problem a lot of guys have, and this has been what I've observed over the years, is they can't be alone. And therefore, they force things in relationships. They rush into relationships. They can't, and it's just a bad place to be. And women can pick up on that desperation. They really can. It's a fucking turnoff to them. So you got to be okay being on your own, and you learn to do that. You learn to ask the right questions. You learn to address those things. That's great. And I'm also glad you got out in nature. Getting out in nature, going for a walk in the park, or even better, in the woods, it's amazing what that can do for the soul. Presently, I'm writing a 5-song EP highlighting the 5 stages of grief, which is clearly inspired by my breakup. I also started traveling by myself, and it was incredibly liberating to know that I could travel and enjoy so many experiences by myself. You can't become a weeb until you become a me. Gotta have your own life. Over time, I gained a lot more confidence. Now I have a much better understanding of women, and not to brag, but because I work out, take care of myself, and present myself well, I know that women find me attractive. The ironic thing is, now that I don't really care as much nowadays if women find me attractive or not, and I have a much stronger mental and spiritual foundation for my life. How about that? You don't give a shit anymore, and they obviously notice you more, and you feel better. That took me a long time to get to that place, guys. Currently, I have a girlfriend who loves me and shows me that through her actions every day. Wonderful. I hope you've learned your mistakes from your past. Hope you didn't rush into an engagement, and don't you dare propose to her in a ridiculous short period of time. And don't make your whole goddamn world. Remember how you've been okay being on your own? I want you to be in a place where you can obviously have a great thing going with her, as long as she is behaving in a way that is worth your time as a girlfriend. And but understand that if it doesn't work out, that you're going to be okay. That's the place you want to be. He says, here are some of the lessons I've learned. Now he's going to go through the things he's learned, and they're dead on. So I'm going to share these here. Number 1. You don't need a significant other to be happy. I realized I had placed her on a pedestal and had a relationship idol in my life, which is incredibly unhealthy as well as weak. There's so much life to live, and romantic partners are not supposed to be the center of your universe. Freaking men. Glad you learned that, and glad that was your number 1. Number 2, mindset is everything. It does not matter how good you look on the outside. If your mindset is bad, you will always lose. Your mindset is the most valuable tool in your arsenal. You must master yourself, your thoughts, and your emotions. Meditate, read, pray. Surround yourself with good people who can teach you and are good models to look up to. Use discernment for everything you hear and read. And if it is determined to be true, make sure you repeat it to yourself and meditate on it to the point where you instinctively believe it. Number 3, relationships nowadays work best when the woman loves the man more than the man loves the woman. In other words, she's more into the relationship than you. It is what it is, guys. He says, of course, this isn't to say that the men should not love their women in their lives, as they should reciprocate a woman's love and affection. However, men must maintain frame, and with all the options that women have compared to men, you as a man need to know that women you are seeing sees you as the best option, which brings me to the next lesson. Yes, exactly. It is what it is. They need to be more into you than you into them. And I'm sure a lot of you guys out there have experience in this. But when the guy is more into the relationship, more into her than she is to him, it's a disaster. And you all know this from either personal experience or hearing these stories. Next one. Don't be the one to say, I love you first. And let the woman bring up the conversation and defining the relationship. Yes. He says, bringing up the DTR talk as a man can be seen as a sign of weakness and diminishes your power in establishing a relationship as a man. As mentioned in the previous point, if she brings up the DTR talk, it means she sees you as the best possible option. And you can define the relationship as you see fit while staying in the center and maintaining frame. Never say I love you first, guys. All it does is communicate to them that you're more into it than they are. It unfortunately gives them the power. And believe me, if they ain't saying it or hinting to get you in a relationship or a commitment, they're not there yet. End of freaking story. And when you do it, immediately a lot of times I've known gals that have broken up with guys that they liked, but the guy told them they loved them. They weren't there yet. And they're like, oh shit, this is going to work. They broke up with them. Let her do it first. Next one. Always keep working on yourself. Fucking men, man. This one seems obvious, but I realize that as I worked on myself physically, spiritually, mentally, and socially, I started to realize just how uninteresting many people actually are. Many women I would have considered trying to date in the past would not be appealing in the slightest. When you truly work on yourself with the right mindset, you set your standards high, and you will attract people that are positive forces in your life. Exactly, man. 100%. Next one. Allow yourself time to feel the pain of a breakup. Pain always has a purpose in your life. It is meant to teach you. Don't try to be numb with unhealthy coping mechanisms like alcohol. You only make it worse. I thought my pain was a curse, but it was a blessing in disguise. Yes, it hurts, but if you don't feel the pain, you won't deal with your pain, and therefore you won't heal from your pain. Yes. Guys, I got no problem if you relationship with guys. Your girl dumps you or some awful thing happens. I got no problem if you're on your own in your room or house and you let all the emotions out and everything. Just don't do it in front of her. Let it out, feel the pain, go through the emotions, and then you can move on. Because if you don't, it'll just be bottled up. It'll be a ticking time bomb. And unfortunately, in today's world, we got a lot of ticking time bombs walking around out there, and they do pretty awful things. You know what I mean. Next one. Never beg and never chase. Never, ever beg. No man has a shred of self-respect should ever beg. It's one of the weakest things you can do, and you lose all sense of dignity. Regarding relationships, never chase a woman that willingly walks out of your life. If it comes, let it go. If it goes, let it. Right. It seems pretty common sense when you're looking at things in a logical state, but when you're emotional, that goes right out the door. Never chase. Never chase after someone that kicks you to the curb. And never beg either. Women cannot stand weak men. Next one. Only date when you are ready. Never ever date if you're still processing a breakup. The void you're trying to fill will never be filled by another woman or sex. 0 out of 5 stars, don't recommend at all. Yeah, there's no rush. But a lot of people can't be alone, so therefore they got to get a new chick to make up for the old one. They keep making the same goddamn mistakes. And last one, never lose sight of your purpose. Yes. He says, you must focus on your purpose as a man in life, as it gives your life meaning and significance. It's the most important thing you can do in your life as a man. Never lose sight of it. And never let a woman pull you away from it at all. He says, thank you, SSM, for reading this. I hope this message is beneficial to whoever hears it. Best wishes. Bro, that was great. You did a lot of things that I obviously slapped the shit out of you for. And I'm sure looking back, you'd slap the shit out of your younger self. As I would go back in time to slap dumbass things I did in the past. You would all have fun hearing my stories. But anyhow, I'm glad you're in a great place and you've learned. And if you had to go through all that shit, the pain and suffering to get where you are today, that was worth it. Because you're only 31. You got your whole life ahead of you. And by you doing that and sharing your story, you're helping other dudes out. If you help one guy by sharing your story here, and I guarantee you will, then it's worth it. You know, this is what the community is about. So bros, as I say always, send me your stories. They really do help guys out. And if you've been through some pain and suffering while you sharing it, you know, it helps have a silver lining to what you went through. So bro, I'm glad you're doing well. Again, keep watching my channel. Don't forget the mistakes. Don't forget the lessons you've learned through your experience. Things you learn on this channel, and you're going to be okay. And do not rush into another goddamn engagement. And I know you know that. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.